we're going live on Facebook, right? So we have the page. We have about like 100 followers. We're going live.
Yeah, yeah.
Miggy, thank you for joining us today. We're rolling.
Yeah.
Wanted to introduce my guest for today. So we're at the BC pero G show and coming to you live. I just hope we have some viewers. Pero if not, we will be offline as well through YouTube and your Suking Tindahan social media channels like Facebook. Which, by the way, Miggy and I will talk about because we are banned people
Yeah.
from certain capabilities of
Join the
Facebook.
club. I've joined the club.
So that's gonna be a rich conversation. Okay, so just to give a short introduction on Mr. Miggy Azurin. So he's the managing partner of Husky Digital. So he's been running that for almost 4 years, right? So it's an inbound marketing agency for growing businesses, right? They have a distinct focus on B2B, which is the topic of the show today, because these guys are one of the few Hubspot certified digital marketers, right? So they've been certified for 2 years, weren't you? Two
Yes.
years
Correct.
already, right? Yeah.
Tama naman.
So and then aside from that, he was a lecturer sa Ateneo and among other little ventures he's been up to, right? And also he's a special friend of BCG, right? So our org, because he was for a while the moderator of the org, right? So we have a debt of gratitude kay Mr. Miggy Azurin, right? So siguro I'm gonna stop here and maybe Miggy, you can also speak a bit about like a short introduction about you, like what are you up to lately, and what is your favorite lockdown habit that you just built, or like what is a favorite new habit you built over the lockdown?
Love it. Okay. Well, first, thanks Ian for rescheduling the talk for a Monday. I
Right.
might be your first guest na hindi Friday, so it's an honor. I feel
Yeah.
special na inabol mo talaga ako for a evening time
Right.
slot, so thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so quick background. I graduated also from Ateneo, and right after college, I actually jumped into entrepreneurship. Um, it's funny because both my parents are entrepreneurs, and they were actually not very supportive. Only because they told me, Miggy, it's not as easy as you think. You should
Right.
go get experience first. And then me
Right.
being an idealistic and stubborn person, I'm a Capricorn. It's my characteristics. I
Right.
jumped in and I did learn that it was very hard to do. So I went from one venture to another. I tried the whole startup thing. I tried food. Nothing really panned out for me. And then I kind of settled with doing freelance marketing work. I told myself, okay, like I think this is something that I could just do and just test out. And yeah, after that it was like just looking back in hindsight, obviously a very good decision because it led from one client to another, and then
Yeah.
now I have an almost 4-year-old agency.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's fun. We like you mentioned, so we specialize in B2B marketing and e-commerce specifically. So it was a decision that we made a while back to really just focus on these niches, and so far it's been doing really good. Tapos in terms of the lockdown habit that
Yeah.
I've built, very interestingly enough, it's actually sleeping more. So
Mm.
if there's one thing that I've been super obsessed with this year, I mean, it was an obsession already before pandemic, and
Yeah.
um, after March, it really just snowballed into this
Yeah.
full out obsession with it. I really just try to work on my sleep habits and my
Sleep
on
hygiene.
yes,
Sleep hygiene.
exactly, yeah.
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 So did you have a plan? Like parang you wanted to improve your sleep hygiene, and anyway, you research how to improve your sleep hygiene. What was the journey like?
Yeah. So it started with a lot of research. So I did a lot of reading, a lot of YouTube videos, very typical, just
Yeah.
immersing myself in as much content as possible. And then I think the fun part is actually experimenting
Yeah.
on what works best for my
What worked for
body and
your
what
body?
doesn't
Yeah.
work for
Yeah.
my. Yeah,
Right, right. No,
exactly.
I'm super big with this whole like sleep hygiene thing. And primarily because I went through the same journey. And what you realize is sleep talaga is a superpower. Parang you feel na
Oh
parang
yeah.
if you do it right, parang it doesn't only like charge you like a cell phone charger does, but you actually can solve problems and like have some creative inputs while you sleep. Tapos parang sometimes you wake up and parang, oh, I have some like brilliant ideas that I can just wait to write down as you wake up the first 3 minutes. Parang ganon.
That's true. That's
So
true.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
It's
I've done a lot
fantastic.
of the testing so that I know talaga my optimum. Well, my I naturally wake up talaga at like 5 or 6.
Yeah, yeah,
Then it takes quite a beating the night before for me to wake up past that.
yeah.
So I really try to make sure na by 9:30 I'm winding down, by 10 o'clock I'm
Right,
in bed. And
right,
and
right.
it's a difference talaga, like if kung sumobra ako sa reading or whatever activity and I end up
Yeah,
sleeping at 11, that
right,
hour talaga na difference I can really feel the next day. So
right, right.
yeah, super fun, super
Yeah,
fun. It's
yeah.
maybe a topic for another time.
Yeah. Oh. No, I have a big like rant about this, right? And I have done like a few YouTube clips about it, like past episodes I've spoken about it. I'm super big on sleep hygiene, and what people don't realize is it's not just about uh the sleep bit. It's not just about the health benefits, but it's actually you commanding yourself na parang you're so disciplined na parang you can push yourself to execute the little thing na parang the wind down, the no electronics, 'di ba? Na parang like you're gonna make your bedroom like a place to sleep, and what you do when you wake up and like all those little things. Parang those are like what 10 different activities na parang you have to execute
Yeah,
every day to get the
exactly.
reward. And parang you take a few weeks before you enjoy the reward, pero when you feel good because of sleep hygiene, you can't come back, right? You can't go back to the old life na parang one eye closed tapos half asleep 2:30 a.m. watching Netflix, right? As most
Exactly.
people do. Diba? So
Exactly.
it's yeah, that shit's poison. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Mm,
I actually like what you said also about the discipline. You said
yeah,
that for me also meant discipline with work, meaning
yeah,
that
yeah.
I no longer gave myself the leeway to work
Right.
until 9 or 10. It was always a
Yeah, yeah,
discipline. Ito, like for example, before I spoke to you, I made sure na
yeah,
okay 8 o'clock tapos na.
yeah.
And if I
Right,
don't
right.
finish anything, that's either a problem
Yeah,
with my prioritizing or I just had
yeah.
too much on my plate today. Diba?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So really,
And you know what? Like what I also realized is it's not that bad. Like even if you miss some tasks or like if shit goes to hell and then like you have angry clients or like whoever, right? It's not as bad as it seems. Like parang
exactly.
what so
Yeah,
what? Parang you miss a few emails. So what? You
exactly,
you
exactly.
scheduled and postponed a few calls, right? It's not really that bad. Like if you think about it, parang it's it's momentum, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you build momentum if you keep on doing some really good things, right? Pick up steam. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for sure, for sure. It's a different day, right? We can talk about like so many things you could do to improve your sleep. So I just wanted to go back about this bit, right? Because you said both of your parents are entrepreneurs, right? So do you think like entrepreneurship is like a gene?
Yes, yes, that's
It's
correct.
something na parang it's a bug na parang like it's mentally genetically ingrained in people. What's your thinking around that?
Uh okay. Oh, hello, Ian. Sorry, am I
Yeah, yeah,
still? Okay.
yep, yep. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Um, I definitely am on the side where like I'm on that I'm on the side where we say not everyone's fit to be an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
Um, I think especially you, right, with all of the experience that you've had. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Um, there really are some characteristics that I feel like a successful entrepreneur must have
yeah,
in order to go very far in this field. Right? And I'd like to think that I picked up those tendencies, those habits from my parents, where they passed on to me genetically. I'd say partially there. It's the
yeah,
whole genetics versus
yeah,
your environment, diba? I think it's just a mix of both.
yeah.
And yeah, it's and I think naging factor also kasi yung ako yung panganay, And at the time when my parents' businesses were picking up, I was
Yeah.
old enough to understand the
Yeah.
gravity of their decision to move from a more stable corporate environment to
Right.
entrepreneurship. Yeah,
Right. So you'd say na it's part genetic and part parang nature and nurture, part nurture,
definitely,
part nature.
definitely.
But how much of the percentage is like percentage wise, like you think? Like just estimate, right?
Okay,
So
okay.
I wanted like understand like entrepreneurs like opinion about this matter, eh? Because
Yeah, yeah,
I think there's some parang genetic like parang strain na parang like you're a bit more inclined. Pero like I think environment would push you to a certain direction, right? And but in terms of percent, like what's your thinking around that? How much
definitely,
is
definitely.
yeah,
I ako my personal take talaga is you're looking at probably 60-70% nurture and the
mm,
rest goes to nature.
mm,
Um I guess like I look back at my past experiences and I look at the prompts that had led
yeah,
me to become, the person that I am now. And I attribute that mostly talaga sa ano sa environment eh. I've had environments talaga where I was allowed to take risks. I was allowed to experiment. I was allowed to
right,
fail. I
yeah,
was allowed to, to hold my head up high and not be ashamed of mistakes,
yeah,
'di ba?
mistakes, yeah,
Yeah, and I take those learnings with me in my journey now, and it makes everything easier.
right,
Not to say that people without these characteristics won't make great business people.
yeah,
But in the world talaga of entrepreneurship where it's really volatile and you're always working for your next and a
yeah,
paycheck, diba? It's hard. It's a hard world to live in if it's not
right,
something that you're inclined to be a part
sure.
of.
Yeah. Sure. So I mean, I agree. Like 30% nature, 70% nurture. If society is so powerful, right? If every day you get hammered by certain pressures sa society, you would be pushed into a corner. You'd be pushed to do things na parang you don't like naturally naturally parang are inclined, right? But yeah, I'm so big on ano, parang societal pressures din. And that's why you have to be mindful about societal pressures as well,
Mhm.
right? So sige, let's shift gears lang. And there's this one question I've been wanting to ask you for a very long time. Could you talk a bit about like this whole HubSpot thing, right? So how did this come about, right? So maybe for our viewers, like in a nutshell, what's HubSpot, and right, how did this whole certification come about, and like how many I'd say Filipinos have this HubSpot certification. So what are we looking at as far as HubSpot Philippines is concerned?
Sure, sure. Okay. So, for the viewers who are not familiar with HubSpot, HubSpot is a marketing company. They offer SaaS products in the form of a CRM, marketing, sales, and customer service systems. So it's the basic idea is these tools used to be all over the place, right? Different suppliers, different companies offering these different tools. So the problem that they're solving is instead of having all of these functions across multiple platforms, you have it on one main platform that can be shared
Main plan.
across the entire organization. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I'm not mistaken, they launched in 2004, 2005, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So it's been a while, and
Mm,
they're a publicly listed company, so they're definitely up there in terms of one of the biggest CRM platforms in the world. And they were also the company that coined the term inbound marketing. So the whole sentiment and practice of creating content to
mm,
attract and engage customers, that's something that they pioneered, and it's been a staple of their business ever since. Now, one of the most important parts of their business model is their agency business,
yeah.
meaning they partner with agencies around the world to upsell and execute on their behalf the implementation of this software across different clients.
Yeah.
I can't disclose the numbers, but it's a big percentage of what they do.
Yeah.
A
For
huge
sure.
percentage of their sales come
It's a
from their
partnership.
agency
Yeah.
partners. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and here in the Philippines, from what I last know, I think we're about 10 partners only here in the
Right.
country. Yeah, 10
Right.
partners only. And this is a we're still considered a growing market because in other countries, for example, they have dozens, even hundreds of partners already being
Right.
activated. The Philippines is one of their growing segments.
For sure. Yeah. I've done some research around this B2B space, right? You know I'm very big on B2B space.
Right.
Our estimates is like the part that can be sort of digitized, or the part of B2B purchasing of the top 1,000 Philippine corporations on an annual basis, about $8 billion, right? And that's not
Ooh,
the entire purchasing, right? So the
yeah.
entire purchasing is somewhere around like $400 billion, right? But we're only estimating that parang like only 8% is the sorry, only $8 billion per year is what can be immediately digitized, 2 to 3 years short term, right? So if you're looking at uh uh a very powerful tool, and only 10 agencies are certified through it, right? And I mean, that's the size of the pie in the sky, right? So
Yeah.
as you know, like, I'm super big on B2B, right? And I know it's super unsexy, it's not retail, it's not consumer, right? But um it's a joy to work with these problems. It takes a little bit of patience, a different kind of patience, right? But it's fun. It's been fun working with, with B2B companies. So could you just tell us what is deal making, or let's say inbound marketing, or let's not call it inbound marketing. What is customer acquisition, or what is deal making, right, in a life without HubSpot? So from prospecting, tapos you're trying to acquire, let's say, a client. What's your typical client profile? Let's make like a specific example, right?
Yeah,
What's
sure.
the
Okay.
typical, let's say, um, ano bang magandang example sa B2B, ano nyo, with your clients? What's a
Sure, sure.
typical?
Okay. Sige, just as an example, I have a client. They're in the business of infratherapy. So
Okay,
they distribute and sell infratherapy machines that cost
okay,
anywhere from about 10 to like 15 million pesos per machine. They primarily market and sell to hotels, spas, wellness
right,
centers,
okay,
fitness centers. Yeah, so
got it.
that's the
Okay,
fun.
so the equipment, right? So
Yeah.
what is deal making like for those guys without HubSpot and with HubSpot, right? So what's the key differences?
Okay. Um. So in the typical life without HubSpot, there's just a lot of fragmented pieces, right? You have teams that are meeting each other every week but not really talking to one another. Primarily the marketing and sales team. Right? You have the marketing team creating content, and then you have the sales team, going out and sending out the cold emails and,
Okay,
and
yeah,
cold calling, right? More often than not, the problem that we've seen is that there's little to no alignment between both efforts. It's as
okay,
if they're running two
okay,
different set of operations, two different products.
right.
And without a platform to tie those things together, you really don't have enough synergy to create value for your customer.
Yeah. How
Now,
many people do you need to close that, just without HubSpot? How many people do you need to close a sale na parang ganon, 3 million to 10 million peso equipment?
well, from the experience so far, you're really looking at a team of about 2 to 3 people.
2 to 3 people, yeah.
Yeah,
Just stabbing
yeah,
everyone so
exactly.
often.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah. Sige, sorry
um,
for cutting you. Alright, it's 2
yeah,
to
no
3
worries,
people
no worries.
stabbing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
two
yeah.
to three people depending on the setup. And usually, what happens there is you have a lone marketer and then a more beefed up sales team, doing all of the more personal selling for the company. Um, I don't know if you've had this in your experience, but I haven't had an interaction yet with a client or a prospect that has had a bigger marketing team than a sales team.
For
um,
B2B, for
for
B2B.
B2B, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Almost always, you have a bigger sales team talaga than a
Of course,
marketing
yeah,
team. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, yeah. So and then for the life with HubSpot,
yeah.
you have these two groups of people working on the same platform, and their work giving each other value,
Right,
and marketing contributing to sales and vice versa. So very very easily, right? Just just as an overview. As the marketing team on HubSpot, I'm able to create content and drive people to the CRM of my company or the database
Right.
of prospects.
Okay.
And for my sales reps, because I have the information in one platform, I'm able to pull out customer files or prospect files with ease, and I'm able to see all of the past interactions that they've had with my marketing
I
material,
see.
so that when I
Right.
make that first phone call or when I make that first email, I have enough context to make the first touch point as
Right.
personal as possible.
Right, right. So you say, "Hey Edgar, I saw that you downloaded my white paper and then you read through it, right? So what did you think about it? Do you agree with so and so, right? Oh,
Exactly,
well that's
exactly, yeah,
perfect, right? So parang why don't we book a Zoom or whatever, right? So
exactly,
got
yeah.
it. Got it. Got it. But not to put down HubSpot, right? But those things could they not be achieved by, like, let's say, over communicating, having like a team na highly engaged, over communicating with one another, or is it really like yung that little friction parang just HubSpot harmonizes?
Honestly, the way that I see it, it's not it's not a need. I wouldn't
Mm,
say it's a need. If you have good synergy already, if you're happy with the tools that you have with other platforms and it works for you, it's very hard to sell the prospect of moving into HubSpot. But HubSpot definitely makes life easier. There's a lot of integration also with other apps and other functionalities of the business.
yeah.
And yeah, it's a nice thing to be able to have, to be able to just scale your digitalization efforts. And it's, yeah, I think it's very reassuring that you have big brands around the world using the
Right.
platform,
Yes, yes.
and
Yeah.
companies from all sizes, small enterprise to startups all the way to your big enterprise clients.
Yeah. Uh, Talk to me about like video, right? So from a B2C and retail perspective, video has just exploded, right? People stopped reading. Like everyone just want to watch a video. Like forget the white papers. Actually, like forget the product descriptions. Like
Yeah,
man, like Lazada and like Shopee. Like forget the product descriptions. Right? There's a video there, and then you just watch it. Like
yeah,
if you want to learn about how to use the product, what are the contraindications, what are the like whatever like use cases. Right? Just watch a video, diba? How is it also the same trend, or is B2B a bit late, right? Or are you seeing parang just the same speed at which the adoption of video, and how would you say the potency, like the power of video in B2B sales?
what I'm seeing, and this is not just for video, I think this is attached to a bigger problem, that there's a misalignment between what management or the top decision makers see as important and what the people who have to use the platform or the ones who are asked to look for platforms, see. Right? For those people who end up prospecting for apps or other B2B services,
Mm,
I think that they really appreciate video content like any other
yeah.
consumer. It's
Mm,
easy to digest, it's easy to understand. But when it comes to a top decision maker, which is usually an older person, the
yeah.
idea of video or the idea of selling through video is just not as strong yet. So there's,
Talaga?
yeah, there's at least the experience that
Right,
I've
right.
seen, there is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
still that divide.
Right.
Although it's very nice to see, especially for forward thinking businesses, that you have those leaders. They admit that okay, video is not their thing, but they are being told by their colleagues that this is where B2B marketing is headed towards too. So
Right.
they're very supportive with that
Yeah.
endeavor, even
They
if they
nudge their
themselves.
bosses basically.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But like settle a problem for me as well, right? So I have this idea na parang, you know what? I'm not gonna do live demos anymore. I'm just gonna send unlisted YouTube clip. I'm not gonna do like parang pitches to senior leaders anymore. I'm just gonna send a video, or at least book the time, jump in the Zoom meeting, play the video, and just be live, quote unquote live, right? Because for me, like people have not adjusted yet with the whole like um, pre-recorded sort of ways of doing business,
Yeah.
right? Because parang lumaki tayo sa TV, right? Where it's live. Diba? You have to demand live. You want the live meeting. You want the face-to-face meeting, right? But more and more, this is it. Parang you can elicit the same feelings through pre-recorded videos. You can get the same output, and then quite frankly, the same demonstrations, even better if it's pre-recorded, right? Do you think that's wrong? Do you think like still like people decision makers, if you're talking C level, would still appreciate like live demonstrations kahit sa Zoom, syempre ngayon lockdown, right? Or do you think you can do that? Parang let's just do 100% pre-recorded. I mean, I'm still gonna be there. I'm still gonna take your phone calls, pero like video pre-recorded. What do you think about that?
No man, I'm on your side with this. And I say this also as a B2B marketer,
Mm,
marketing my business.
mm.
There's so much time that is being wasted in the first 20% of an interaction because of the
Yeah.
formalities, because of
Right,
the
right, right.
company profile,
Yeah,
what's the
exactly.
platform, diba?
Yeah, yeah.
We waste how many meetings just trying to get to know each other,
Exactly.
and then finding out after that we're not a good fit pala. But
Right,
just
right,
like you, I think that this can be automated and this
right.
can be scaled, and you jump in na lang when there is an initial fit that you
Yeah,
both see.
right.
And but I put that with an asterisk lang, Ian, because I think it also depends on who you're speaking to. If, for
Right.
example, the CEO of a big
Right.
company asks me to come over and he wants to listen to my pitch, as a way of building relationship,
Yeah.
I will set aside my need for automation. I will go there.
Right.
This is a way of courtesy and building that relationship. But on a more basic na level where it's like a marketing person or a marketing head reaching out to us and
Right.
vice versa. I think we can skip a lot
Yeah.
of the formalities and just exchange emails and
Right.
touch base na
Yeah.
lang if
Yeah.
there's a fit, right, or if
Yeah.
there's room to work together.
Yeah. Pero Miggy, this is the opinion of you and me. Like we agree, but we're a population of two,
Yes.
right? Do you think we can still sell like moving forward with that? Or is it too soon? Kasi my thinking around it is parang I want to do it. Parang it's also much more efficient. I think I'm giving more value with pre-recorded videos. Because of course you're gonna distribute the ones the demonstrations the best. You're at your best. You wanna give your pitch to the camera when you were your best or like your best saleswoman in your team, and you push that video to your prospects, right? If you need to talk to 5 people, you push the video of her pitching to those 5 people, right? But this is just the opinion of you and me of 2 people, right? Do you think we could sell just by that, or is it too soon?
No, no,
A
no.
video video.
If there's one thing I think this pandemic has done for B2B, it's that it's pushed sales reps and marketers to be very creative with how they interact and how they're able to pitch their products. And
Yeah.
if anything, I think na fast track pa nga Ian yung getting
Right.
to that point nga where
Uh,
we can kind of just skip the formalities. I've
uh,
already watched your demo. I'm happy with it.
right.
Let's talk, diba?
Uh, so you believe that parang we're getting there. We're at the
Getting
tipping
there.
point. Yeah.
Not there yet
Okay.
entirely,
Right.
but it's first things first, diba? I love it that I'm seeing more businesses talaga at least embrace
Right.
having a Facebook presence. A
Right.
year ago, so many of these businesses are
N-
just parang no,
nothing.
not
Right.
even,
Right.
diba? Not even a
Yeah.
website, wala.
Yeah.
But now, we're having the, sige na nga,
Right.
mag-Facebook page discussion na tayo.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
soon
My
enough, we'll have the
yeah.
pre-recorded video discussion.
Right. I stopped doing like actually more than 30-minute interviews when I hire. So I interview so many people, man. And I skip the whole like 31st minute onwards. It's basically I have a YouTube playlist. It's unlisted. All the basic formalities are there. I said, you watch this first, and then we'll do the 30-minute interview after. It's actually a big help. I'm just thinking to myself, this works. I want it to work sa B2B setup, right? That's why I'm asking you these questions, right? So it's reassuring that you're seeing naman na it's in a tipping point, right? But I do believe ano pa rin siya parang it's a matter of execution, right? Parang there's still a way na you can do it like na maganda, na it's effective, right? But if we were being really honest, I don't think you could close a deal with just video just yet. Would you agree?
No, no. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
agree with you, definitely. The formalities, yes.
Yeah.
But the selling is a human touch, eh. The
Right.
selling is showing up and showing your client or your prospect that you are someone na trustworthy. That if
Right.
they hand over their money to you, you will deliver the product that you said that you would deliver.
Right.
It's that's still really high touch, and I think
And
rightly
live.
so.
And
And,
live.
and live,
And
definitely.
live.
Well,
And live.
right now Zoom, diba? But
Yeah,
still with
Zoom,
like
Zoom.
a
It's live. It's
human
live.
with a
Right.
human interaction, and
Right.
I don't think that's going to change, especially for B2B. B2C
Mm.
pa, baka pwede pa, diba? Because we already see it eh. We're already in this world where almost no human interaction na, and we
Right.
purchase this stuff. But I
Right.
think for big contracts kasi, where there's a lot at stake, it's not just my convenience, the convenience of my team, my department, or my organization. Those are the deals that require a sit down talaga eh, and
Yeah.
multiple meetings. So
Multiple
yeah,
Zoom meetings. No.
multiple Zoom meetings. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. I see. So yeah, I mean I agree with you. Parang you can do all the routinary stuff, right? And ako, I position it na parang like, yes, let's not do live anymore. You can do it at your own time. I will give you our entire library. You can like go down the rabbit hole of videos, right? On demos, right? But I'll be there, when we talk about the deal and like you have questions, I'll be there. I'll make myself available, right? So talking about closes, right? What are some of your like favorite closes, right? Do you have a procedure to this, or do you Scooby Doo yourself through closing, or like what's your closing approach?
Okay. I generally have structure. There's a general framework, but I feel like a lot of it is still finesse and
Mm, mm,
and making kapa, diba, the situation. So
yeah,
just to run you through my process. There's always a discovery call,
yeah,
where in about 30-40 minutes I find out if a client is a good fit or not.
mm,
And it's great. Ever since I introduced it into my system, it's saved me so much time.
mm.
Diba?
At
30
what
minutes.
point do you probe for the budget? At what point? Like, do you think like is in the ballpark of someone who can afford the service? I mean, let's be real, right? There's so much time wasted because of the dance between
Oh
budget,
yeah.
right? So at
Oh
what
yeah,
point in
definitely.
that 30-40 minute call, or do you do that on the next meeting, or like about that particular point?
Okay. Kasi kami, Ian,
Mm,
we're an agency that our prices are fixed.
okay,
So it's on our website. It's published.
okay,
And
okay,
even before the meeting, I try to make sure that it's already sent out to them,
okay.
so that they don't even schedule the call with me
Ah,
if they know that
okay.
their budget is out of the
Got
range.
it, got it,
I
got it.
used to be the other way around, where super catered, diba, super tailor
Right,
fitted to your expectations, whatever. And
right,
I see the value in it, but
right,
again, just with how I want to operate, uh, here are the three packages that has
right.
very little wiggle room
It's
na
really
lang.
smart. Yeah,
If
yeah.
it works for you, great. I'm happy to next call. If not, okay with
Mm.
me also. I'm happy to refer you to someone else.
So you give the pricing, so you have some ballparking involved before you take the first call.
Yes, before they
Ah,
call, they almost always have an idea
right,
already of my
right.
pricing.
But sometimes parang you convince the budget based on the value, eh. Right? So how do you hurdle yung parang, or you just lose those sales na parang mahal naman nito, parang yung that. Pero like if they listen to you, they might be turned around, right? Pero if they say ang mahal naman nito, but they don't see the full picture, um do you just lose that sale, and they don't take the call obviously if sinabi nila mahal, or how do you manage that? Because if you put the price up front, diba?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question, Ian. I think it's two parts. For me, it's putting my foot down on what level of retainer I would like to be compensated for,
Yeah,
because it's not something that I just thought out of nowhere. It's
yeah, of
calculated, diba? Na this is how
course,
much work it's gonna cost. This is the
of
margin
course.
that I would like, and this is the level, diba? And the second thing also is, at the level that I have right now, in my past experience, it also merits a level of seriousness from certain clients.
Hmm.
Meaning, if they're
Right,
coming into this with this price range and they're willing to spend, I know that they're willing to invest in the kind of work that I do. Now, it's not to say na sobrang hardball ko and I won't accept anything
right,
less than my retainer, diba? There's always room for
right.
negotiation. But in this range that I'm currently at, I find the most serious of clients more often than
Right.
not, and I
I see.
deter a lot of the people who are not as serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no, I don't. I forgot
Yeah.
where I heard this. It was in a podcast from a while back, and he said something in the lines of, "Your pricing is the message.
Right. Right. Of
Your
course.
pricing is a marketing tool."
Yeah. Of
So
course.
when I put this out openly,
Right.
I'm not hiding, hindi ako magpapakipot,
That's
'di ba?
right.
It's literally there.
Right.
I attract those kinds of people who think that marketing should be this much. And in
Right.
my experience so far, more often than not, these are the clients who are really serious about their marketing.
Right. Oh. So parang it's I mean, your price is your ultimate market signal, right? I really don't like people who parang are so sketchy about their with their and shady about their pricing, right? Parang you have to do a call or like talk to them live just so you get the
Right.
pricing. I mean, literally you could Google like the value and the ballpark of the cost of things, right? But yeah, I agree with you. Eh, Pricing is a market signal and parang it signals like what um value as well they should expect, right? Parang syempre if they're paying
Mm-hmm.
for X, diba, they should be expecting 3x, 4x, 5x of that, right? So
Yes.
parang, diba, if you're charging for X, you're not getting clients who want a revenue of X, right? Or half of X, right? Diba?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, it's a market signal. Okay, I get it. So parang they operate on a cost plus kind of a situation. Na parang I know your price up front, it's a cost plus, so I'm gonna say na parang, maybe I'm gonna make some 3x, 5x my investment here. And then you take the discovery call,
Mm-hmm.
and then what happens next?
And then we have, so if it's good to go, we have what I call a goal setting session, where it's the step before the final proposal, where we sit down with the client, we talk about para siyang yung blueprint of what the marketing strategy will look like,
Yeah,
and then we align it dun sa goals nila for the quarter or for the next six
right,
months. And then what's really nice about that step, Ian, is that even before I send out the final proposal,
right,
there is already some sign off with a strategy, or there's a
okay,
general agreement now with a direction. And
right,
this has been one of the, I'd say, the most important lessons for me,
yeah,
because I've been burned so many times between for by clients who
right,
they will backpedal on a strategy, or they will backpedal on an approach.
okay,
Um, Next to selling the pricing for me, Ian, is to selling the approach. Eh.
okay,
And I understand that my approach is not the only approach. There are
right,
different methodologies, which is
yeah,
okay with me. But again, very important for me to work with a client that understands how
yeah,
I would like to execute. Now, it's not to say that it's 100% my way,
yeah,
diba? Obviously there's always room for what the client
yeah,
wants, and we will integrate it with their idea of it. But that's
right,
the fit that I'm looking for. Now, if we don't see eye to eye with the
right,
strategy,
yeah,
doesn't matter how much you pay
yeah,
me. I will never
yeah,
convince you that
correct,
I'm effective.
correct, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yun.
mean,
So we have that goal setting
yeah.
session. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, no, what you just said is it doesn't matter how much you pay me. That's a really good line because it's never almost the price. It's almost never the price. Actually, it's never the price, right? It's never the peso value of the deal, right? It's always something else. Alam mo yun, if you're talking
Yeah.
to a prospect, di ba? There's always
Yes.
something na parang they're not saying na parang, di ba? Parang, oh, they have pala a different target or parang, oh, they have pala a different expectation or oh, they want pala a different level of involvement. It's never the price, right? The price is just the excuse. You're just gonna say na parang, yeah, that's too expensive, or like, you didn't
Exactly.
give me terms, or you didn't give me a
Yeah, that's
discount,
that's
right?
it.
It's their like exit excuse, right? But it's never the price. It's usually nga the approach, right? I agree. When you get sort of prospects bought in, right? The approach. Um, do you feel that, and this is usually how I think, right? Do you feel that the prospects usually want you to parang take their hand and hold their hand and lead them, right? Or do you feel na parang prospects want more choice, right? Or parang they want more na parang to contribute more. Like, so parang, ay, sige, I'm gonna contribute like 50% of the input and parang you lead me 50% of the way. Right?
Mhm.
Do you feel more na parang when you're prospecting or when you're trying to close a client, like, how much is yung parang choices you give them? How much is the parang, no, you have to be bought in with my, as the seller, my approach, right? What's your balance there, right? How
Got
do
it.
you balance
Um, the line that I like to share is that when I speak to a prospect, I tell them I'm not going to tell you who your customers are or what they like or what's good or bad about your product because you're the product expert in this room. But I will tell you how we can create content around it, how we can distribute it, and how we can optimize your conversions. I'm the marketing expert in the room.
that?
So
Right.
I come to a client environment, bringing my expertise, but already also, very early into the process, setting that standard for them that I need you guys to bring in the product and customer expertise
Yeah.
because that's the only way it's going to work.
Right.
I can't be a real estate expert in a
Right.
matter of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Your experience selling real estate 5, 10, 15 years, I need that. Diba? I need to pick your brain on that. And if you're not willing to share that with me, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And
Yeah.
it's always a great conversation, Ian, because I think they like the honesty,
Yeah.
and they understand that's what I'm coming into the situation for,
Yeah. Yeah.
that they need help with that front,
Right.
because they understand their stuff
Right.
but
Right.
don't
Yeah.
know how to
Yeah.
sell it or to market
Yeah.
it. And I don't know how to sell. I don't know their product, but
Right.
I know how to sell and know how
Yeah.
to market because regardless naman of the industry or the product, marketing stands on the same set of principles and
Right.
the
Yeah.
same overarching strategy.
Yep.
And you adjust that on based on the product or where the business is in their life cycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what
You
I.
make good points because parang in the B2B setting, I feel na parang the best closes, right, were the times na parang it was almost I know marketing in this case, real estate, right? Let me stick with what I know, let me stick with and then let's combine. So parang it's like
Yeah,
one
yeah,
plus
yeah.
one kind of a two times and then they go, yeah, yeah, you're right, ganun. And but really, you do know a bit about retail, right? You do know a bit about, let's say, the pharma industry, right? But it's almost it's almost polite to say na parang, yeah, you know what? I
Of
really
course,
don't have any idea like about your industry. I am like
of course, of
super
course.
dumb or like super ignorant, right? But you know what? I feel like in a B2B setting, it that feels parang like the good closest, right? But you're not being ano naman misleading, right? It's just that it's a communication, right? Syempre, English is not our first language, right? Pero parang pag kasi sinabi mo yun in Tagalog, parang ano siya mas swak siya, di ba? Pero like, I think it's parang one of those things na parang lost in translation, right? Na parang, it's, those feel right, right? When those closes happen, right? I do want to like touch on a bit about what you mentioned, right? Strategy, execution, and product, right? And I will be the first to tell you, I have been burned by like bad product, right? So the
Oh,
partnership is good, the close is good, the strategy I want to think is good, like the execution I want to think we did our best, both sides, client and right. Pero talagang yung product, sablay talaga right? So
yeah.
how have you handled, like, do you have war stories around this, and like parang how do you handle these things, right? Because it has happened to me.
No, Ian, I think we could go on and on about this problem. It's the same problem for all marketers.
Yeah.
I've had my share of clients who, for some reason, really they believe talaga that digital marketing is a magic pill
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
will solve all of their problems.
Right.
That they think that by boosting a post, their excuse for
May
a
balik
bad
na.
product. Diba?
Yeah.
It's hard, and I've learned to be a little bit more frank, Ian,
Right.
with the product of my client.
Uh, uh,
Um, in my early years, I used to be ashamed pa, diba?
yeah.
Scared to
Uh,
say na
right. Right.
hindi
You're
okay
gonna
yung
lose a client. You're gonna lose a client.
exactly. Diba? Or parang hindi kasi nagre-reply yung mga tao, diba? So,
Right.
ano gagawin ko? It's hard, but I've learned to just suck it up and be that kind of honest because my job entails it eh.
Mm.
Kasi, and I'm sure you've had this experience. The client will almost never blame someone in the team or in the department.
Right.
It's always
Right.
the
Yeah.
agency. Oh,
Yeah.
agency first.
Yeah.
Diba?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I don't make it clear that I think that there's a problem with the product or there's a problem with how you guys deliver the product,
Yeah.
ako din yung mahirapan eh.
Right.
And
Right.
Ian, I'm a firm believer talaga that the best marketing tool pa rin, number one, hands down, undisputed, is a
Is the
great
product.
customer experience
Yeah.
or a
Yeah.
great product.
Yeah.
That speaks for itself.
Yeah.
No amount of digital marketing will make that right.
Right. Right.
So and I like to have that conversation also with the client, especially early on in the process if I see that there's a problem with how they deliver it
Mm.
or how the customer service is acting at the moment, diba? Um, I like to let them know because I know at the end of the day that's going to be a marketing problem. It's
Yeah.
always going to be a
Yeah.
marketing problem. And I think Ian, this is where it's good also as a marketer, no, na it's good to understand business models,
Mm.
that it's
Mm.
not just enough that you're creative or
Right.
you know how to run Facebook ads. You need to understand operations,
Right.
logistics,
Yeah. Yeah.
sales, diba, finance, because all of that it's like organs in a body.
Yeah.
Marketing is just one organ. And when
Yep.
other organs stop working,
Yeah.
marketing is going to pay the price for that. And if you
Yeah.
don't understand which organ is messing up with your
Yeah.
marketing,
Yeah.
diba? It's hard for
Right.
you to say. So
Yeah. But marketing is the
I've
first to
learned
get amputated.
exactly,
First to get
exactly,
amputated. Yeah. Like
exactly.
look at COVID, right?
Yeah,
First budget goes out the window, marketing budget,
always,
right? Yeah.
always. We were just talking about it, diba? Nung
Yeah.
March, April, grabe. First to get cut, first to get cut, and
Right.
well, thankfully now it's been better. So kung
Mm.
anong malas namin at the start of lockdown, yun din yung good fortunes naman namin ngayon. So yeah,
Right.
I'm very
Right.
thankful for that. Na
Yeah.
finally, marketing is seeing its days again.
Yeah. This product situation, right? Uh, what do you do kapag ganun? Like you tell them your product sucks in so many words, right? But do you tend to continue that relationship or do you take a discount? Like what's the typical parang worst case scenario for you, right? Kasi parang if you have a good team, I'd like to think you have a good team, right? You can parang adjust, you can tweak, and in B2B you'll have time, right? Parang it's not like retail na parang, 'di ba? Yeah, it's super fast. You have time to calibrate, right? So, absent of that, if the product is really the problem, right? What's the next step there?
Oh, Ian, I'm not. Well, I'm a little ashamed to say that I have said no to clients or prospects
Hmm.
where I can see from the very beginning that the product is bad.
Yeah, yeah,
I've made exceptions, and I'm kind of 50-50 on it, on these exceptions. I made
yeah,
exceptions if I am able to see at the beginning
yeah,
that there is an honest
yeah,
attempt to make it better.
yeah. You'll take a flyer sometimes, 'di ba? Ganun naman talaga 'yun eh, right? Sugal 'yan eh, 'di ba?
Exactly.
So
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes you
yeah.
take a flyer, right? So, yeah, I understand. Oo,
Yeah,
oo.
yeah, yun. So I'm kind of 50-50 in that space.
Right.
Some of
Sometimes you
those
take
products ended up better. Some of them just stayed bad.
right,
So,
right. Okay, okay.
but yung mga clear to me talaga that the product is really bad. And most importantly for me, Ian, is that there is no effort to make it better. That has been telling to me because I know that the organization doesn't care about their customer.
Mm. Yeah,
And when when
yeah,
when that's like an organization thing,
yeah.
no
Red
marketing
flag.
is going to fix that
Red flag,
talaga.
red flag. Yeah.
For sure. No marketing is gonna fix that. I've worked with losing products, but the founding team is very passionate. They're really trying to solve their
Yeah.
problems, and sige, I will stick around, and I admire naman the honesty and the humility to fix it,
Right.
diba? But yung mga clients ko that have had really just bad products and bad management also, I've
Right.
been burned too many
Yeah.
times. So much so that when I see those two things, automatic.
Mm.
Yeah, sorry, it's not gonna work. Not gonna work for me.
Yeah. Oh. But okay, okay. I mean that's fair, right? And then parang what people also have to realize is the the closing or like the first month like the honeymoon stage, is just one evolution of a relationship with a client,
Oh yeah.
right? Pwedeng sa third month, magkaasiman kayo. Pwedeng, di ba, first month, they're not really convinced.
Yeah.
Tapos second month, whoa, man. Like, why did we do this just now? Di ba? Parang we should
Yeah.
have done
Yeah.
this earlier, right? And it's a constant battle of selling and closing and iteration. It's a constant battle of strategy execution and product as well. Na parang it's not yung like uh the honeymoon will be over like soon, right? Eventually, right? So it's a continuous it's a continuous process, right? So it's not like ano rin parang okay, even okay ngayon tapos hindi okay, 'di ba? Nagpabaya yung client, 'di ba? Minsan ganun din, right? So
Yeah.
tino nilang kausap initially tapos hindi na matino down the line, right? 6 months after, di na
Yeah.
matino, 'di ba? Di na nagre-reply, 'di ba? You know, man, like just
You go
by
through the
the
motions.
speed of email replies, you already know something's up. Like,
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
even with your employees, even with your like clients, right, your partners, like like just by the speed of emails, because it's one of those parang flags, 'di ba? Yellow flags,
Yeah.
yung mga yun, mga yun.
Yeah. It's hard to say.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
I can't say I figured that part out. I have been caught off guard by clients where I thought we had a good relationship,
Oh yeah,
thought we had, good communication.
right.
But then suddenly get a call and saying na yeah, we're not going to renew or we're gonna have to cut
Ah,
the engagement short. So
ah,
it's hard.
yeah,
It's hard. There's just so many moving pieces. But what I've come to just kind of have in my head is that I will just do what I can, and I will
right,
do what I can do, and other things, especially things that are not in my control. That's just it will always just be that it will not be in my
right.
control.
Yeah,
So I'm just gonna keep looking forward and just
yeah,
work on my stuff. And if those unfortunate things happen that I really can't do anything about, then just
yeah.
just can't do
Yeah, but
anything about
yeah.
it, diba?
But what I like about you is you recognize this. What I like about you is ano Mig, you also know that and parang I know you're working on those things, right? Parang because it's also consciousness, it's also mindfulness about what were those yellow flags, red flags I did not see. That's why I'm surprised by this phone call, right? Na parang it's a
Yeah, yeah.
termination phone call, right? So
Hmm.
yun. Pero sige, less on the sad side, right? We're almost out of time as well,
Yeah.
right? We just wanted to go through siguro some of parang your favorite closes, right? And when I say closes, yung literal when you ask for the order, right? So parang do you have like favorite lines when you ask for the order? So parang okay na, done na all the presentations, tapos yung it's the sign right here kind of a conversation, right? Do you have any favorite ways to ask for the order from your from your
Ah,
prospect? Do you have any like
good question.
favorite Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't say I have a favorite line, but I always tend to focus on the relationship that we're
Right.
going to be building, and
Okay.
most importantly, the possibilities that we're going to have
Right.
with each other by
Right.
working with each other. It's always
Okay.
that I always try to make it very hopeful,
Okay.
only because I know that it's once the honeymoon is over, which is
Okay.
usually after month one, that's where war
Right.
really begins,
Right.
and I need them to keep on looking at the bigger picture.
Right. So
For
how do you ask the order for that? Like real specifics, right? Do you say na parang so coming from your relationship and upside and being hopeful, you say sir, like prospect Miggy, um I really see our relationship to be a long-term relationship. Sky's the limit as far as this potential goes, right? I think we'll work hard. I have a good team. I've been working with my team for years, and we'll extend the same warmth and relationship with you, and we'll do our best. Sign right here. Is it ganon siya, or like how do you like? I really want to understand like what's that moment like? Like take me to the deal room and like how do you do the that moment? You sign right here kind of a moment.
Yeah, it's kind of cheesy, pare. It's kind of cheesy, but the okay, fine. If I had to like recreate some line,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I'll,
Okay lang, I'll answer then after mo. So don't feel too
sige, sige.
vulnerable, right?
No, no, no. I'm trying to put myself in a meeting room situation na
Yeah,
sige,
yeah, yeah.
bentahan to si Ian. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say something in the lines of pag we're discussing contract, I would say, Ian, I want to take this opportunity to let you know that once you sign this,
Mm.
this is not this is going to be the start of, a, a, a
Right, right,
a marketing journey
right,
that is going to outlive
right,
our
right.
partnership.
That's brilliant. You're not making a big deal out of the signature. You're
No, no,
making
no,
it
no,
parang
no.
an
Definitely.
evolution.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's brilliant. That's
It's
brilliant.
more the relationship talaga
Right,
that
right,
for me this is just the formality and putting everything into paper. But
right,
what's
right,
really more exciting is, the work that is to be done together. And I like to stress lang talaga that it's a relationship. For
right,
as long as they bring in the expertise and I bring in the expertise, I don't
right.
see why we can't be
Yeah.
successful.
Yeah. Oh, I get that. I get that. I get it from your vibe as well. I
Yeah.
get that would work really well for you as well. Like how you talk and like the warmth as well. And I like even if your team isn't there, your team sort of like you channel like the aura of your team as well, right? So parang I
Yeah, yeah,
get
yeah.
I get how that's
And it's
effective for you,
And it's
right?
been awkward kasi Ian. I will keep this same like warmth that you say,
Mm.
which I'm very happy that you pointed out.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
I really try to exude it.
yeah, yeah.
I've had like those meeting rooms where it's just super serious and it's just
Mm.
awkward when I bring up
Right,
like the cheesy stuff. But
right,
for me, I just feel it's important to put out there, eh,
right,
that
right.
this
Of
is a
course.
start of a partnership,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to working with you
Yeah.
and learning from you. I will
Yeah.
I will say that, diba? I
Yeah.
will I will say that talaga out loud to them
Oh,
na I want
prospects
to
love
learn
that.
from you. Diba? I'm here to serve you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You're my
yeah.
client, so
Right.
help
Yeah,
me help you, diba? And
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
excited to
Yeah.
for allow
There's also
opportunity.
another L word that parang deal makers don't say enough, and it's actually love. I love
Mm-mm.
that word. Like
Mm-mm.
I'm so amazed that parang not a lot of like B2B sellers put out the word LOVE, right? Because it just
Yeah, yeah,
helps with the room, eh. Parang people are so parang oh it's kind of cheesy or parang it's not a formal setting, right? But dude, super gas when I like for example I do like some closes sometimes if it's depends on the crowd, right? But sometimes like you're gonna love this. Parang this is the
yeah,
best
yeah,
like
yeah.
parang 'di ba? Parang
Strong words,
yeah,
definitely.
professional
Yeah.
relationship that you will love my team, you will love me talagang and I find it na parang a rarity na it's rare for deal makers to do it. Just say it, man. It feels good and like it's helpful, right?
Yeah.
So the other aside from learning, that's the other
Ian,
L
are you
word.
an
Yeah.
EN? Are
Yeah.
you an ENFJ?
What's an ENFG? What's an EFFG? What's that? Like an
What's your MBTI test?
I.
You,
What's that?
oh, you're
ENFJ.
not familiar with it. You should take an
Ah,
MBTI personality test.
right. Sige. 16personalities.com.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's
Sige.
the business world astrology.
Protagonist. Yeah. This makes
Yeah, you
sense.
should check
EN.
that because you sound like an
Right.
ENFJ.
Right. So anyway, sige, I'll take that and I will post the results of that and I'll promote that 16 personalities website. We only have like 5 minutes left, right? But I will share with you like a few closest naman na parang I super gas for me,
Game.
right?
I'm gonna take from
Um,
your playbook.
yeah. One is ano kasi the hesitation. Like ako naman kasi Miggy, it's different for me. Kasi parang medyo malakas yung dating ko and
Yeah,
parang I look a certain way, right? So parang almost always people feel na parang I'm getting the better of them. Parang gano'n. Gano'n yun yung what I'm toning
yeah,
down for. Yun yung what I'm optimizing for. So sometimes
yeah,
parang they feel na parang hindi naman mistrust pero parang hard-nosed, parang gano'n you're not getting like you would prospects feel na parang they might get a better deal from other people na less parang cold, like cold looking at least, right?
yeah.
Or and that's right. So sometimes what I do is I tell them what's the worst deal that you've ever done in your life. Parang like tell me like
Hmm.
what's the absolute worst uh, deal ever done in your life. And then they're gonna go like do this, do that, right? And then I'm gonna listen. Parang like okay, parang talaga, parang like yeah, that's so bad. You lost like millions, etc., etc., right? But you know what? You're still here. Like, parang that's the worst deal. That's the worst that could happen. You're still here. You're still in a position to make these kinds of decisions, right? So we should be thankful about it, and right. So parang what I'm saying is parang you've gone past that, the worst deal, right? And you're still alive. You're still in a position to make these kinds of decisions, which you'll be thankful for. So you sign right here and right here.
I
So
like
parang
that.
that's one I do. Na parang
Yeah.
I do like that. Parang what's the worst? And then the other as well is parang let's just do it now, basically. Pero it's different to execute because you really have to say it na parang with conviction, right? Because sometimes prospects feel na parang having more time parang gets more security, right? Parang if I make a decision ngayon, it's less secure than
Yeah.
if I make a decision in 1 week, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
I'm
No,
just
I understand that.
yeah. Sometimes I just say, no, let's just do it now. Um, we're gonna do it anyway. You know we're gonna do it anyway. Let's just do it now. Tapos bawal magsalita. You really have to wait. Until like, you have to wait na talagang, okay, sige, let's do it. Parang ganon. Pero
I've
you
heard
just have
of
to,
that.
yeah, yeah.
I've heard of that closing strategy before.
Hmm.
I've tried to execute it, but it's hard talaga eh. I don't know. I guess it just comes with practice. It comes with practice. Yung, prompting them talaga na, oh, why not now? Diba? Or
Yeah.
what's stopping you?
Oh, you have to practice, man. You have to practice. I have practiced. And you have to have a lot. Parang, cause one is you have one, tapos parang then you go back to that one
Mm-mm.
because you're comfortable with that. And then the other approach naman is you have many. Tapos you just hit the prospect with like one after the other until parang, this works.
Something
I'm
stuck.
gonna do,
Yeah.
yeah, and until it works, right? So yun. But those things parang yeah, you really have to sort of practice, right? But yun, those are my favorite. Like what's the worst that could happen? All almost always works always for me. And then the let's do it now. Like
Mm-mm.
yun talagang weird training for people na parang if you buy a little bit more time, 'di ba? If you do another review, parang you're gonna be a little bit
Yeah.
more sure, right? Pero in reality, it doesn't you don't need two meetings to get all the information you need, right? And I also say that by the way, so let's do it now. I also say na parang, we businessmen make decisions within complete information, right?
I like
So I
that.
also say
I
that.
like that. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
parang, 'di ba? Let's just do it. Parang ganun. So
And
mas
I think
maganda pag Tagalog, pwede rin.
very underrated there also, Ian, yung that's always a knockout punch. But there were so many of these like smaller
Oh, yeah,
conversations that we
of
have
course.
to lead
Yeah,
to
yeah.
that. Like a lot of the pre-work, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's really interesting because when I started to notice that the pre-work is almost
Yeah,
just as important with the flair that I have when I close the contract.
yeah,
I tended to shift my attention in the pre-work just because I'm confident with my flair at the end.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
confident
yeah,
with the selling at the end. It's just the
yeah,
okay, how do I get them to be just
yeah.
warmed up enough so that when I do
Right.
hit my winning combo,
Yeah.
it's a sure win.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And man, like when you're in a deal setting, right? Everyone in the room, number one, wants to make a deal happen and wants to feel
Mhm.
good that they're doing it. Right? So
Exactly. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not different when you go to Uniqlo and parang nasa store ka pa lang, you don't feel good about the stuff you're buying. Right? So parang like, and then you don't. Diba? Pero, same in a deal room, same in Uniqlo. You should feel good when you're at that
that's true.
moment. Right? So yan yung mga basically parting words of Miggy Azurin and Ian Sanchez episode. Sige, Miggy, we're out of time. 9 p.m. na. We wanna stay within the time. Just wanted to ask you what's next for Miggy and like, are there any parang shameless plugs you wanna put out there? Most the time.
Yeah. So right now it's just staying afloat. I have a couple of more speaking engagements hopefully in the next few weeks. So that's something to look forward to. If I were to plug something, lang, sige, just so that I have something to plug. I usually don't like to plug anything, but sige, fine for now. I have a social media strategy workshop happening on November 5.
audience here? Who do you want to attend?
This is mostly marketers and first entrepreneurs who are moving into the digital space for the first time. So traditional to digital. So I'm touching on the basic tenets of social media strategy. Yeah, should be fun. Should be fun. It's a free. Yeah, I'm not saying it's a free workshop that someone to attend.
Right. Okay. So yeah, shoot me the links so we can attach it in this video.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. Sige, Miggy, maraming salamat sa oras mo. It was a very fun conversation. Just
Yeah,
so
definitely.
thank you.
Much
Thank
fun,
you.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.